right? Okay, perfect. Thanks. I just want to remind you that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right. So as I mentioned, like for Excel on the class 1, we are going to do some introduction on Excel. We'll see how to store data in Excel, perform basic to simple calculations, and use of functions, formulas in Excel, and how do we save these files, Excel files, and how do we open a given file in Excel. And when you're transferring, when you're sending these Excel files in an email, how do you password protect? And so we'll go over the basic stuff on the Excel in the first class. Second class, we'll get into little more deeper, basically. How do you sort? How do you filter? How do you generate a graph? Basically that's where the power of Excel comes in. Okay. And in the last class, we will go through, some advanced concepts. I would say like not really advanced, but at least for our sessions, for our workshop, we'll definitely do the pivoting, VLOOKUPs, and some additional questions. Okay. So let's start off with that. So how do you open Excel, right? So Excel is part of the Microsoft Office suite, and you could have it on your desktop, or you can have it a part of a cloud application. So I'm going to launch it out of my desktop. Most of you who are having personal computers, you should have access to these Microsoft tools. If you don't have, most likely I'm thinking that your schools offer Office 365 version, which you can download and install on your machine. Okay. So try doing that, and I hope all of you have that access to these tools. If you don't have, let me know, and I will try to guide you how to get that. Okay, these are licensed tools, but generally schools offer for a free download on one personal computer for personal use. Okay, so go to search option in your computer, and then I just type in Excel. Okay. So if you see the Excel app, launch it. All right. So most likely you might have seen, if so a lot of people might be familiar with the Google Sheets that you must be working on. So if you have Google Classrooms and you're using the Google tools, like most likely you might have come across this Google Sheets as well. It is very much similar, but this is a Microsoft tool that is being used and more popular worldwide. Okay, so we are going to focus only on the Microsoft tool, and in case you have questions with specific Google Sheets and all, we will review in a separate session later. Okay. So when you open the Excel, you might be seeing a lot of columns, right? A, B, C, D, E, all these are columns or fields, okay? It's kind of a tabular matrix. It's kind of a grid where you can type in data, okay? So let's see to what level this will go in terms of column. If you see A to Z, you have 26 columns, and then it starts with A again, okay? If you scroll to the right, so I select one of the cells. All these individual items, they are called as cells. Let's say I select one cell and then use my arrow keys in the computer to scroll around. So you can go indefinitely like this, okay? Which means you can enter data, as many fields as you want. And on these are the rows which are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you see how many rows you can go up to. Okay, it's almost, I believe it's almost 1 billion rows that you can enter into. And what happens after that, right? So if you have stored 1 million rows, and then what will happen? So you might have to move to a different worksheet. So within the Excel file, if you see sheet 1, this particular sheet 1, where it shows that is called a worksheet. Okay, I can add as many worksheets as I want. So if you see the plus sign here, it's a new sheet. I can open a new sheet. Okay, here, let's say I type name. So if you see, when I type name of the student, this is a big text. It doesn't fit into the first cell. And when you see, like, it is overlapping into the second column, it is overlapping almost into the third column. So if I type name of the student in the first cell, okay, what is this cell? The cell has an address. Okay, I will show you how to look at that. Okay, but before that, if I type something, a big string, it is going to overlap into the next column, right? So how do I make sure that this is fitting into my columns, right? So what I can do is, you see this column A, there are borders for each column. I can select and drag. Okay, now if you see, whatever I typed in name of the student, it is fitting in my first column. Okay, I may type, like, let's say subject name or marks, let's say out of 100. So I'm typing, I'm trying to create my data, and I keep on typing, right, in each column. Then how do I adjust the width of the columns based on the text that I'm entering? So what I do is, instead of dragging each column like this, you may have 10-15 columns. How will you do that then, right? The easier way to do is, on top left side, if you click on this cell on top left, just next to left to A and on top of 1, right? That when you click on that, you are selecting all the columns, all the rows. You're selecting the entire worksheet. Got it? So on this worksheet, once I have selected all the cells, I can double click on the border of any column. Let's say at the end of the column A, on the border, I'm double clicking. It will adjust the column width to the data that we have typed in. Okay. Let me reduce the column width. So if you see, like, column A, name of the student is getting hidden, subject it is getting hidden, marks out of 100, it is overlapping. So what I do is, I will select all the cells together at once, and then double click on the column A border, and then it will auto adjust to the contents of the columns. Okay. Now, what are we doing with Excel? Basically, what do we use Excel for, right? So primarily, Excel is used to store some information. Okay, whether you are, let's say I'm doing, like, I'm going and doing some workouts every day. Okay, I'm going for a walk, or I'm going doing some treadmill, or so I want to come here and like track my data. So I will type my name and date, and then like start typing, okay, how much speed I was walking with, what was my average speed, how much distance I walked. And over a period of time, what happens, you are collecting a whole bunch of data, and then you can do analysis, like which week I walked most, or which month I worked out most. So there is so much analysis, so much trends that you can do out of Excel, and that is what it is used for. So whether people who are working in stock exchanges, or a corporate office, or even within schools, you can use Excel to store your data. Let's say I have a simple example here. What we are doing is, name of the student, subject name, marks out of 100. Okay, I'll just type in ABC, and English, let's say 85, and then again ABC, math 95, ABC. Okay, so as a school teacher can maintain the data in an Excel sheet, name of the student, and then I can put the subject details and how much score the student got out of a given test. Okay. Now what we can do here. So Excel provides with, lot of functions that you can use. So slowly I'm, moving into the first topic of the class, and so we can use lot of functions here. So let's say I want to see what is the total marks, right? And let's say, so whenever you have to use a function or a formula in Excel, what I start with this is the cell in which I want to calculate the total, right? So I will put an equal to sign first. That immediately triggers that this is, I'm either going to use a function or I'm going to use a formula. Okay. So if you see, when I typed in equal to sign, I have something here on this side, auto sum. I can do a sum, I can do an average, I can count the numbers, min, max. There are more functions to it. Okay, you can do a lot of mathematical analysis. Okay, so to keep it simple, I just want to do a sum right now. Okay, I will select the sum function. So as soon as I select the sum function, it selects the range of cells in that column, entire column. Okay, from the cell in which I'm marking to the top of the column, it will select the entire range. But if you see, if in between I have a blank row, what I do is I use my keyboard keys, shift and arrow keys. Okay. I use the shift and upper arrow key to reduce my range. Now here, if you see in the formula, it is showing sum of C2 colon C4. So if you see C2 to C4, what does it mean? Now the first cell in the column C with a row 1 is called C1. This particular second row is called C2, column C, and row number 2. So that's the address of the cell. Okay. So you selected C2, and then you have C3, and then you have C4. If you put a colon, it's saying that range is from C2 to C4. So you selected all the rows from all the rows from C2 to C4, and then you are putting in a sum. So just press enter, and that will give you the sum of those 3 cells. So let me remove this and do it again. Okay. So on this cell, total cell, I want to get a sum of all these 3 numbers. What is the address of this? Column C, row number 2. So this is C2. What is this? This is C3, and this is C4. So I want to get a sum of C2, C3, C4. How to get that? So the moment you you type in equal to, it knows that you are typing a function or a formula. Okay. Now from here onwards, the moment I select any cell, it is going to include and then selected this cell number C2. Okay. If you want to do a simple math, right, I will do C2 plus, I can do C3 plus C4. Now, if you see, go look at the formula, just highlight that cell, and on top, you see that we have typed in equal to C2 plus C3 plus C4, which is nothing but individual cells you are going and adding here, right? So this works fine if you have small number of cells to add, but I have, big whole bunch of 500, 600 rows. How do I add? Okay, I'll show one more way now. I will invoke the equal to sign again. This invokes the formula. So now earlier when we were using this auto sum, it typed in a function called sum, right? So I can also type, if you see, as soon as I type equal to sum, it is pulling a lot of functions. What are the different functions that are available? Okay. So as soon as I select the sum function, I can open the parenthesis and it says number 1 comma number 2. So you can give different numbers. I will say like, I want to sum 20, 30, 40, 50, sorry, I need to have commas, 40, 50. So if I just say that, it is going to sum the numbers that I'm giving to the sum function. It has added here 20, 30, 40, and 50. Okay, sum is 140 here. But I want to sum these 3 cells in a different way. So what I do is equal to sum. I will select the first row, first cell C2, and then use my shift and down arrow key. Shift and down arrow key, you keep on selecting your range. Okay, as soon as I select C3, if you see it is adding in form of a range, sum of C2 colon C3. If I move one more, it will show C4. If I move one more C5, it is C6. It is including sum up to C6 here. We don't want C6, we want to keep it up to C4 here. And I'll close my parenthesis, and that's the sum.
Can you show that again?
Yeah. I'm removing this formula here. What I'm doing here is first, in order to invoke the formula or a function, you need to type in equal to sign here. Okay. As soon as you type in equal to sign and then start looking for a function, type in SUM. So as soon as you type in sum, so there is a function appearing sum there, right? So all you need to do is put parentheses here. Once sum is available, just put the parentheses here. And it is asking what do I need to sum? Okay. So then I will go and highlight the cell number C2, column number C, and row number 2, right? That's where I want to start from. So now you know that this cell is highlighted. Now what you do is use your shift and down arrow key on your computer keyboard. Or the other way is I can drag this too. Using mouse, you can drag this too, or you can simply, use shift and down arrow key on your computer to select the range. Close your parenthesis, and then you get the sum. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For example, you have 500 cells in a row on C. Could you just highlight and then press equal and then auto sum for the whole row?
Right. So what you do is, let's say I'm doing it. Let's say I will show something here. Okay. I'm generating some sequence numbers. Okay. So I type 1, and on the next cell I want to get a sequence number. Let's say I will do an equal to. I will select the previous row, previous cell, and I will +1. What it will do, it will select the cell number G2 and add 1 to it, correct? So let's say you get 2 now. Now what I do, let's say I want to drag this cell to the next one. What happened here? From 2 to 2, it became 3. So internally what it does is it drags your formula to the next rows as well. So when I say on this second cell, I said +1, do +1 of the previous one, right? Now I drag this formula to the next cell. It does the same thing. Use the previous cell and add 1 to it. So it became 3. Now let's say, let's go to, so it keeps on adding 1 to the previous cell. Let's say what it did here. On 151, if you look at the formula on top bar, that's called the formula bar. And it is showing G151 plus 1. So basically what we did is we tricked it to select the previous cell and add 1 to it. Okay. Now I want to get the sum of these rows. Okay.
Shrikantako, you're sort of lagging for me. Can you say that one again?
Okay, the dragging thing, right? I'll repeat that.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm trying to get the sum of these 150 numbers. Okay, 151. So I selected on the formulas on the cell. What I did is I selected equal to. It triggers the formula, right? So now I want to get this sum. I initiated the sum and parenthesis. I will initially highlight the first row. Okay. The method I was telling you, Karthik, is initially shift and down arrow key. Here I'm going upwards, right? So I will use upwards, but I don't want to do one by one. What do I do?
You click the row with.
So in that case, what I do is shift. I use the control key and use the upper arrow key. Okay, all the cells from the given starting point to the, because I use the upper key, it went to the top. If I'm starting from top, if I use shift, control and down arrow key, it will go till the bottom. So you don't have to manually select each individual cell. The way you use your arrow keys along with shift and control, it will take you down to the last cell. Okay, because I'm coming from the bottom, it selected the whole column, and then all I need to do is put the closing parenthesis and then press enter. Okay, this is the sum of 1 to 151. Okay, I'll come back to this, the other thing that I did here. So how did I generate a sequence number here? Let's say I have typed in 1, okay? And if I drag this cell, I can drag like this, okay? What it is doing? It is simply copying this cell that the value that I entered in my first cell into other cells. So it is kind of working as a copy function, right? So if I enter 2 here and then drag to the other rows, it is copying a number 2. Okay. So basically when you're dragging, it is doing a copy onto the other cells. So you get that point?
Yeah.
Now instead of copying, what we want to do is, let's say on the next cell, I want to tell Excel, go to the previous cell, whatever it is, go to the previous cell and add 1 to it. When you are saying add, basically that means you're trying to add a formula, right? So when you're adding a formula, you're saying like equal to sign, and you want to select the previous cell, right? Select the previous cell and say plus 1. So what it did, the simple formula is it selected the previous cell and added 1 to it. If you look at the formula here, I2 plus 1, that's what we did, right? So now on this cell, row number 3, I have value 2. Where did it come from? We added 1 to the previous cell. Now let me drag this to the next cell. What happened on this third one? So when we are dragging, it tries to copy, as I said, like it is trying to copy the numbers, right, earlier. So it is trying to copy what is there in the second cell. In this second cell, we had a formula. Instead of the flat number, we had a formula. What does that formula say? Add I2 plus 1. But when we drag it to the next cell, that I2 changes. It changes to I3. Okay, because what is the change between these two? There is only a change in the row number, and it will change that row number and add 1 to it. So as I keep on dragging it, it keeps on, let's say I select this 15, row number 15, right? 16 here. So what it's saying is I15 plus 1. So it copies whatever we have entered in the formula to the next level and it also increments the cell number for the field that we selected in the formula. So it keeps on incrementing. So that's why you can generate a sequence of numbers like that. Okay. Now I come back to my students' data, and all of you understood now how to get the total score, right? Like I have 3 subjects entered here. I have done a sum. Okay, I have used a simple function sum here. Now let me see how can I get the average. I want to calculate the average. So all of you know, like, how do I get the average? In order to get the average, we have to add those marks divided by 3, right? I have how many subjects I have here? 3 distinct subjects, right? So what I do is, we already got this total. Okay, so I enter equal to sign first to indicate that I'm using a formula. So I select this row, this cell. When I select this cell, it is getting me the total of these marks. What is the divide function, right? So divide function is a flat forward slash. Okay, and I use 3 here. I'm using a flat hard-coded number 3 because I know that we have count of subjects is 3. So this is one way. Basically, you're explicitly saying that, okay, add all these codes and divide it by 3. That's how you get the average. But average using average using the formula. Can everyone go on mute? Start talking.
Oh, no, sorry. What? Sorry.
All right, no problem. So average using formula. So I again press equal to sign, and let's see if Excel provides an average formula, right? So how does average starts? I type A, V, and if you see, there is an average formula. So I use the arrow key or use your mouse and select, double click on that, and you got the average formula typed in there. Now average of what, right? So average of, again, I will go and select these 3 cells. Now what I did is, instead of selecting one single cell, I can select that and drag till I want. For example, so I can select this cell. Don't stop there. You can drag till the 3rd cell, and it will automatically select your range. So that is one more way of selecting your range. So you got this?
I sort of messed up. So I pressed average using, and then I pressed equal to average, and then C4, I dragged it, and then I didn't get the same thing you got. I got like 80 or something.
You have the same numbers, 85, 95, 80?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Are you using Google Sheets or Microsoft?
Microsoft.
Okay. I mean, okay, I will check your sheet. In that case, maybe at the end of the class, I will review your sheet and what's wrong in that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Apart from mathematical functions like sum, average, you can also use some functions like, okay, I want to get minimum score, right? So let's say I can say min and select the range again. I can do the max. Okay, or I can also let's take differently. Let's see if we have a percentage, right? So equal to percentage. So we have percentile. Okay. Now I want to compute percentage and I don't have, let's say, a seeded formula provided by Excel. What do I do? I go to my math, right? So I have got the average. Average here straightforwardly indicates that you have 86.67 something, but I want to get the percentage, right? So the percentage, how do you calculate percentage? Your total score out of the total marks times 100, that is the percentage value, right? So I will feed in that formula in this cell directly. So what I'll do is, you already got the sum, but if you don't have sum, I will try to get the sum again. So this is my sum. Out of what is the total score? Total score is 300. Okay, so this is one calculation. Forward slash is used to divide. So it's a calculation. What it is giving me, let's see. So it is giving me 0.86, but that's not the percentage. Percentage, what we need to do additionally, we need to go and add times 100, right? So you got, for times or multiplying, the symbol, what you need to use is star. Type in star 100. Okay. So I will tell you what are the different mathematical operations, how you do, right? So for multiplying, you use star. For dividing, you use forward slash. I will write it here. Add, you simply plus symbol, right? Subtract, that's the minus symbol, straightforward. Multiply, how do you multiply? You use a star symbol, and then divide, you use a formula. Hey guys, you need to go on mute. Okay. I can use only. Okay, divide will be forward slash. Okay. Now there are some additional functions that we could use, and what I want to show you is, let's say, count. How many records are there, right? How many distinct values are there here? So what I do is equal to, again, use count, and then go to your range of values. Okay, I have got 3. So earlier when I'm calculating the average, I'm putting the number 3 there. Instead of that, you could use count and select the range. It will give you the count of numbers. But here I have simply hard coded to 3 because you know, like here we have only small range. But if you have a big range, then you need to go really get that number, count of numbers, and then add it into your formula. Now let's say ABC has got 260 score, and some person XYZ has got 100. Okay, so if I say like XYZ got more score than ABC, and by how much, right? Obviously subtract, you need to go and subtract, right? So how do you do that? So I will go and type an equal to sign and then select 400 minus, that's the subtraction symbol, and then select 260. Okay, So now you see how do you use the Excel for calculations, basic calculations, right? You know how to do additions, subtractions, you can multiply, you can divide, right? So what I'll do is I'll show you some additional work that we can do. Let's say I want to create a multiplication table. Okay. So let's say I want to multiplication table for. So I will double click this column A so that the text that I entered in cell A, it will filter to this column. So I'm entering some random number. Let's say I want to create a table for 15. Okay. And I was showing earlier that, okay, I want to generate a sequence number. Okay. 1. And how do I generate the sequence number? Go to take the previous cell and add. Let's say I want to get up to 20. So I'm just dragging my formula here. Got it? All right. In typical world, what we do is, how do I write a multiplication table, right? 15 times 1 equal to 15. This is how I write. And what I will show you is you can also put that in a formula. Okay. So in this cell, equal to, I'm going to use a function called concatenate. Concatenate is nothing but you are trying to add some strings together. Okay. So before getting into this cell, I will say I have ABC, I have XYZ, I have something else, CDE. Now let's say I want to merge all the 3 column data into one cell, right? Equal to type concatenate. So double click, it will put that function in your cell. What you're saying, concatenate the strings that text 1, text 2, text 3, right? I will select this text 1, comma, I will select this text 2, comma, I will select this text 3. Close my parenthesis. What do you see here? So it is appending all the 3 columns data, A, B, C, X, Y, Z, C, D, E. It is combining them into one cell, right? And now let's say I have P, Q, R, R, S, T, and M, D, E. Okay. You don't have to rewrite the formula. Just you have the formula in the first cell, you drag it to the next one. When you drag it to the next one, what it is doing? So in this form, in this first cell, I'm trying to concatenate the row number 4, 5, 4, column number G4, H4, and I4. When I drag it, Excel automatically understands that I have moved one row down. So instead of 4, it uses 5. So in this column, if you see, it is adding G5, G, H5, and I5. If I drag it further one more, it will say G6, H6, I6. Because I'm moving down, it is incrementing this row numbers automatically. Okay. So my intention is to show you that we can use concatenate function this way to merge columns, and you can also drag your formula down the rows so that the formula gets applied onto the next available cells also. So if you have large volume of data and you have to merge, this is the easiest way you can do. Just put concatenate and just drag your formula till the end. Okay, that's one way. Or the other way is, you see a dot here, it's a small square dot at the corner, right corner at the bottom. I can also, if you select that, if you hover on that particular point, it will put a plus sign. I can also do a double click. If I double click, it will carry that formula to whatever range of cells we have the data for. Okay, let's say I will enter some. I have removed the formula now on the remaining cells. From this cell, if you see this square point, so I'm highlighting that as soon as I'm hovering my mouse on that, it is giving me a plus symbol. I'm just double clicking that plus symbol.
Oh, this is fun.
Or you have to drag. Okay, so you can drag your formula to the cells. Now coming back to our multiplication table, right? I'm going to use the same concept, same function, concatenate. What I'm going to concatenate? First, I want to, this is a I'm using multiplication table for 15. So I have entered 15 here. So I will select that row, that cell, put a comma. In the double quoted, basically I'm putting a hard text now, space, cross, symbol for multiplication symbol. And again, double quotes end. So this is one set of string or text, again, comma. Then I will select this particular cell, comma, again, double quotes, equal to, space, double quote end, and then put a comma once again. And what I'm doing here is select this row, this cell, times is what is our, use the star times 1. Okay, and I'm ending this. I will explain what we did.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah. So, you know, concatenate function, what it does, it is going to concatenate strings or text, right? So each text should be separated by a comma. So I press my F2 key here. It will select, it will show me what are the fields that we are using in this formula. Okay. So concatenate B1. B1 is what? Column number B and row number 1. I have entered 15 here. It will show 15 here. Comma, what is the additional text I want to append? Space, cross, space. Okay, that is the text I want to show in when I'm writing 15 space cross 15 times 1, right? That is what I want to show here. So that is what I typed here. And B4 is what? It is showing this sequence number 1 equal to, so it will say 15 cross 1 equal to, then what is the formula multiplying, right? I want to multiply 15 times 1 and show it here. Okay, that's what is appearing. Now, I will drag my formula till this 20. Okay, ideally what it's supposed to do is carry on the formula till the point I dragged. Okay, so now here, I want to keep this 15 flat. When I'm dragging this, 15 should not change. So, so I'll keep this. So if I say $, it won't change further. Okay. Same thing here, that 15 has to remain constant. Whatever I entered in cell number B1, even if I drag my formula to other rows, that cell has to remain the same. It should not change to B2 or B3 or B4. That's the reason I am putting a dollar symbol in front of that. That will keep that B1 as it is. So you saw what happened now? I can change this to any number. Like let's say I change to 25. Okay, it will change the multiplication table now. If I change to 45, you can change this to 111 or any number that you want. Okay, and it will do the calculation for you, whatever you did.
What was the formula that you put?
See, the formula is basically, we are saying that multiply this number, cell number, whatever I have in B1 with each one of these, right? So equal to, I'm saying B1 times 1, correct? Then if I drag here, next cell, what happens is if you see this B1 changed to B2, but B2 I don't have anything here. So I want to keep B1 always the same, even if I drag the formula, right? So what I do is I put a dollar symbol so that B1 doesn't change to B2 or B3. The formula is $B, $1, which means keep this B1 cell as it is, even if I drag my formula. Okay, so you're saying B1 times B4. If you see here, B4 is what? Times 1. If you go to the next cell, the B4 changed to B5, B6, B7. So, but this one remained B1 only. Even if you drag your formula to the next rows, B1 remains the same. Okay, because you put a dollar symbol there.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
All right. So I want to close this session today here. I want to stop here and I want to check if you have any questions. So I'm going on mute and I want to open the questionnaire. If anybody has any questions. So did we go too fast, or what is your feeling about this?
Uncle, I keep lagging for some reason and I get kicked out of the Zoom meeting and then it kind of freezes for me. I just need help on the dragging one.
Okay.
This and then the multiplication table. I'll be fine.
All right. All right.
I don't know if it's my internet problem or anything, but
sure. Okay. For when you come back to the next class, there is a small assignment for you guys. Okay. You have to take an Excel. What you need to do is so if you see, I have typed in few lines here. Principal, you should be able to type in any number. Principal. Time is, let's say, 4 years. Rate of interest, 10%. Okay. I want you to put a formula for simple interest. Simple interest, you know, like if you have, if you remember, principal simple interest is PTR by 100. Principal time times the rate of interest divided by 100. That's the simple interest. Okay. And how do you calculate the okay, let me show it to you here. So I multiply principal times a star, right? 4 times rate of interest. Sorry. Divided by 100. So what I'm saying is, if I borrow a loan from the bank, $1,000 for a period of 4 years, and the rate of interest on that is 10%, how much interest I have to pay, and how much amount I have to pay at the end of the 4 years. That's what we need to find out. So I want you to use this formula PTR by 100, principal times time times rate of interest divided by 100. Okay. And how do you find the amount I need to pay at the end of the 4 years? I need to add to the principal the simple interest and then give, right? So I will do principal amount, whatever was there, plus simple interest. Okay, that's the amount. And if I change my rate of interest to 20%, I need to see that numbers change, the interest change and the amount change. Okay, so for the next class, you should be able to complete this assignment, email back to us, and then if you have any questions, you can email to us anytime. Is that okay?
So what are we supposed to do with this? Like the principal thing?
So this one, this is just an application where you are trying to, use a formula to calculate this simple interest and amount. Okay, how do you use principal and time and rate of interest and find out the simple interest and amount? So I'm trying to use it. I will send you the assignment details. What do you need to do exactly? Okay. And I will give you the formula, principal times time times rate by 100. That is the formula you need to use. And basically you are trying to calculate, if I borrow $1,000 for 4 years for the rate of interest 20%, how much simple interest I need to pay and how much amount I need to pay. It's a math problem. And if you need to find out the interest, how do you find out the interest? This is a formula and you need to apply this in the Excel. Okay, I'm trying to see if you are able to apply a simple formula in Excel and send it over to us so that we'll know like whether you are understanding or okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have any questions, let us know. Like email me back and I can reply back. All right. And we will continue with our next session on next Thursday. Thank you for being on the class and see you next week. All right, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, Uncle, can you just teach me the dragging technique where it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Okay. Yeah, people who want to drop off, you can drop off always. You're free to drop off. And if you want to look at this, you can continue. Okay. So this is Ari, right?
Thank you. Bye.
Yes, this is Ari. I lagged for most of the class, so.
Okay. So if you see on the screen, I'm typing 1. Okay. So I want to add that previous cell 1, add 1 to it and display something. So what I do is type an equal to symbol. Okay.
Equal to, yeah.
And then select the previous cell.
Okay.
And type in +1 and enter.
+1, enter. Okay, so now it becomes 2.
2, right? And
Yes.
select that cell where you have 2.
Yes.
Okay? At the bottom corner, you see a square.
Yes.
If you hover your mouse onto that and select at that point and drag to the next few lines, see what happens.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
Now it increments the numbers.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So what it is doing is for every cell, it is changing your formula. It is because it is copying your formula, right? It is incrementing the cell numbers also. So initially, when you are getting 2, you are selecting only column H and row number 3. But when you copy it, it is incrementing H3 to H4, H5, H6 like that.
Okay.
And then that's how it copies your formulas. Now
Okay.
let's say, you want to keep this H3 not changing to H4, H5, H6 and all, right? Then what you need to do is put a dollar symbol. So when you have here, on this 2, right? H3 is a variable because what is happening is when you drag this formula to a next cell, H3 will change to H4 here, right? If you don't want that to happen, you need to put a dollar symbol on the primarily here what is changing, only the row number is changing, right? You can ignore the dollar symbol in front of H, just put in front of the row so that it doesn't change the H3 cell. Then what will happen if I drag down? So it keeps on adding 1 to this cell only.
Wait, so show me how to do that again, to duplicate the numbers?
No, basically, see, duplicating numbers is like you just enter a number and then just drag it. It will just copy just the number.
Okay, yeah, I see.
Okay. But what I'm saying is, if you're dragging your formula and you want to keep this cell constant in your formulas, the value of the cell is 1, correct? And in all these rows, you have used this formula, copied the formula, right? So if you want to keep this cell constant, you are putting a dollar symbol there. That's the point.
Okay, I see now.
Okay. If you put a dollar symbol, it will not change that H3. It will remain H3 there. That's it.
Okay.
If you don't put the dollar sign, it will change H3 to H4 when you drag it to the next cell.
Yes, I see it.
Yeah.
So let's say if we, for the homework, if we don't know, if we forget the directions of what to do, are you guys going to send like an email of what?
Yeah, I'll send it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right, bye.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for being on the class. Talk to you next week.
Bye.
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 Bye, guys.